Grammy-winning singer Regina Belle has enjoyed a lifetime in the spotlight as one of the most recognizable voices in R&B music. But today, we'll meet Regina Belle, the daughter, caregiver, and minister. I'm Debra Tyler-Horton, State Director for AARP Georgia, and this is In My Own Words.
Regina, wow. Thank you for inviting me to your sacred space.
Thank you for having me.
I am so grateful for this time. I know how busy you are, that you took out time from your busy schedule to chat with me today. I know Regina Belle. I know our audience knows Regina Belle, the artist. But today we're going to talk about Regina Belle, the mom, the wife, the caregiver, and the woman of God.
It is all me, isn't it?
It's all you. It's all you. And I think that folks will learn some new things about you today that they didn't know.
Yeah.
So first I want to say thank you so much for the years that you gave to AARP as an ambassador for caregiving.
It was an incredible journey. I still, as you know, we're here today, right? We still have relationship because I think once you kind of walk down those corridors, you don't really mince the relationship. It's forever. AARP actually has served me in a way that I had no idea that it would. When I first came aboard, I came on as a spokesperson and became an ambassador. But when I first came on, I just kind of was doing a job. And then maybe a year or so in, I actually needed AARP. And all of the stuff that I was actually repeating, I had to kind of swallow my own medicine. Because what I ended up saying is, when I wanted to stress about stuff, I said, well, you already know what to do. You already know who to call. You already know how you gotta, So I still had my moments, as being a caregiver to my dad before he passed away, caregiver to my brother and my mom. But you freak out, you freak out just, knowing that somebody is depending on you to make sure that their health, that their life is okay. That's huge. That's, if I dare say it, it's almost like a God factor. You know what I mean? And you don't want to mess up.
It's a major responsibility.
It's a huge responsibility.
Major. And it can happen overnight.
It did for me happen overnight.
You get that call and it changes your life.
Yes. My dad, not so much because, my dad kind of gradually went to the place of where he was going. But my brother was sudden. His situation was, he had a massive stroke, and it was complicated by pneumonia. And with his situation, he spent a year in a rehabilitation center in New Jersey. His son was caring for him, Tyrell, and he was doing a fantabulous job, but it was just too much. And so, he basically called me and said, well, Auntie, we're gonna have to do something different. And I was like, okay, well, maybe give me about a month, and because I was thinking he said, no, this week.
It needs to happen now.
And I'm like, oh, snap. Okay, so, that made me have to kind of do everything immediately, find out how I'm gonna do this, and so now all the AARP had to kick in.
So Regina, you spent several years with AARP traveling all across the country at our different AARP sites, talking about caregiving, talking about prepare to care. And now here you were in a situation, one, you took care of your dad, and then with your brother, those tools became handy.
Yeah, but not without the freak out factor.
I think there's always the freak out factor.
There's definitely the freak out factor because it's so sudden. You 1 minute you're kind of just talking about what needs to be done, and then the next minute, bam, you're in the midst of having to do it. And it's a total different situation. It's the difference between trying to minister to someone about grief, and they're dealing with death and sickness, but then it hits your door, and all of a sudden you have to minister to yourself. It's a whole nother set of rules there. And so, at first, I had like I said, my freak out moments where, I sat in my car and I just yelled. There were moments when I asked the Divine One, why? How is this falling on me like this? With all that I have going on, I still got a career going on. I'm looking after my mom and dad. I have 5 children. I got 4 grandkids. How did I get in this position? And I guess I fell into that place of that famous statement of Eleanor Roosevelt when she says, a woman never really knows how strong she is. She's like a tea bag. And until she's dipped in hot water, she doesn't know how strong she is. And so, I found out how strong I am.
So the message here now, if we got our caregivers listening to us today, they're not alone.
Yeah.
This happens to so many of us. And here we have Regina Belle sitting here with what they see is you on stage. They see you in the light. Right. But just thinking about all the things that you went through as a caregiver, you're an example and showing that, yes, it's going to happen to anyone.
Correct. And the Grammy, the Oscar, none of that could help you in that time. And see, this is a place where even if you have help, there are things that you yourself have to do. I had to sit down with those stacks of papers to read through for my brother to get on Medicaid, to be able to have him in the facility that I had him in. With my dad, I had to take him from place to place because my dad is a veteran. And so I had to take him to the different veteran stations, to the different doctors. And then when I was dissatisfied, I would take him to the hospital and, thank goodness I am who I am because I was able to pay for certain things. But I feel for some of my, when we're in the same situation, some of the people that I lectured to in AARP and talking to them about different things and different ways to do different things. And I know that they don't have that option because financially they're not able. It really breaks my heart because, everybody deserves care. Everybody deserves care with dignity. And that is the difference. When you have a certain amount of money and you're able to go into certain types of facility, you're treated differently. But when you go into other facilities that are a little bit lesser scale, you get lesser service, you get the looks that you get, you become a number and not a priority. And it should not be based on who you are. It should not be based on how much money you make. And I'm thankful to AARP because they helped me with being able to pick not one, not two, but a plethora of resources. To whereas if this didn't work, I could bag back and go this way. Or I could call this person, or I can go online and figure out. And so I had a bunch of different ways where I could approach both my brother and my father's situation because they were two different situations.
Yes. And in the midst of this, there's you. There's all the other things that you had to take care of. How did you take care of yourself in the process? How did you find that respite time for Regina to pray, to have the space that you needed to keep your strength going in the process?
it was difficult because if you're not careful, you can think that you are the supreme being. You can think that nobody can do this but you. And I know I preached it, but I felt, I myself fell into that bag of, I'll just do it myself. Because if I wait on somebody to do it, it's not gonna be done right. And all the stuff I preached during those lectures in AARP that you pushed me to different.
You need a team.
Yes, and I found out how important my village was to me. Because of who I am, I cannot incorporate hordes of people in my village. But I was able to still bring people into my village that were trustworthy, people that could get the job done, people who were timely, and people who did it in a lovingly fashion. And it surprised even me. And I didn't realize how much help that I actually needed. I didn't really realize it.
Because we think we can do it all.
We think we can do it all. And so all of the things that I preached about in AARP, when I talked to the different folk, telling them that if your loved one went to church, that you could use people that were part of your loved one's church family. If they were active in their communities, that they could use people within the community. Well, I found myself utilizing both of those resources. People that were in the church, our next door neighbor. She always kind of checks in on us, making sure, and we check in on each other to make sure both of our moms are okay. So, like I said, AARP has been a resource that I thank you. I thank Edna Kane Williams every day of my life from this point forward, because you all gave me access to a resource that has been life-changing.
So Regina, we talked about your role as a caregiver, and I want to step back and talk about when somebody had to take care of you. When that role switched and you understood what it meant for that caregiver to have to step in and support you and taking care of you, it gives you a whole different view, doesn't it, and lens of the work that a caregiver goes through and what kind of support they need. So we know what our loved ones need, but the support, if you know a caregiver and someone has a caregiver in their lives, the things we need to do to support the caregiver.
Yeah, I'm in a unique situation in where I was cared for. In 2009, I had brain surgery, and then flip-flop, 2015, I became a caregiver. So being cared for, that's a whole nother animal. Especially when you're a person of my stature, used to being in charge, and now having to lay down and allow somebody to dictate what it is you do every day for almost a year. That, when I tell you, that's on a whole nother level. But thank God I have family that was loving. I have friends that are just like family, that were equally as loving. And they all stepped in. My niece moved in to live with us. Some of my children were still in school. And so my niece moved in to live with us. She left her job in New York and came to live with us in Georgia. Now, I helped her find a husband, so I think I get some kudos for that. So,
Yes, you do.
But she basically paid the bills, built a spreadsheet, color-coded. When I tell you, Asia Milner worked it out in our household so that we were cool. And she made it easier on my mom and my dad, because, them being older and having to care for me on a daily basis, that would have been really hard if they didn't have the help. Even just lifting me up and out of the bed, because my husband still was, doing different things. He was working. At the time, I think he was doing something in construction. So he was helped developing a high rise. So he wasn't home. So, and then I have these 5 kids. I got 1 in college and then 4 at home. And it's like, okay, who's going to take care of mommy? And my kids are freaking out because they've never had to take care of me because mommy takes care of everything.
Everybody.
Mommy's a superhero. And now all of a sudden her cape is in the cleaners. What's going to happen? So, Asia was amazing. My mom was amazing. Ivy Taylor, my manager who, basically became many things. A confidant, a prayer partner, a person who just sometimes cried with me and, just helped me get dressed, just do all kinds of things. My mom, when I tell you, it's a shame to have your mom as your best friend, but
I love it.
My mama, my best friend. Yeah. That's my best girl.
I know about that relationship right there.
So, and then being able to call, like I said, later on when it flip-flopped and I had to take care of other people and, being able to call people like you and being able to call Edna and being able to say to you guys, how do you do this? I know what I'm supposed to do. I know the ropes. I know the protocol. But, sometimes you just get tired. Yes. And sometimes I look at my brother and I wanted my brother to be free of this stuff. I hated seeing him like that. Can I say that? I hated seeing him like that. My brother he never met a stranger. My brother was a people person. Every person he met, loved him. My dad, the same thing. I brought my dad to a gig where it was a room full of millionaires and billionaires, right? And so my dad is sitting at the table and I'm wondering what my father is going to say because, my father is straight raw, right? So I have to leave the table and I get back and they are crying, laughing because my dad gets into this big conversation about pig feet, okay? and they just love him, you know what I mean? And I just thought, wow, this is not a burden because I love these people. It's a wanted responsibility. But even with it being the responsibility that it was hard. And
that's what we're saying to those that are listening to us today. We understand the difficulty, the pain, and that it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And you're right, it doesn't matter how much money you have or stature you have. When it comes to caring for a loved one, we make so many sacrifices.
Yes.
Because this is our loved one and we want to be there to take care of them.
Yeah.
What we want to tell them today, there are tools, there are things that are available to help you and support you. This is a challenge. I mean, that we see all across America, and our family members are living longer. Yeah. My mom is 97. How old is your mom?
My mom is 84.
Your mom is 84.
Yes.
Look, and we pray that we're going to live that long, and
right.
somebody's got to take care of us
one
day.
But I want to be 84 like my mama, though. Yeah. My mama got it going on. Look, she doesn't see that well, but you know what? She is the classiest. When she steps out, she looks good. And I mean, of course, at that age, they don't have no filter. So I'm looking forward to that stage where I get to say whatever I want to say. Yeah. So, oh, girl, I'm 80. I get to say what I want to say now. No holds barred. But I mean, and she's lively. Yeah. My mom travels with me. That's like so cool to me. She still appreciates so much. After I make her breakfast every morning, and every morning she says thank you to me. And that amazes me because It's like, Ma, you don't have to say thank you for all that you've done for me over the years, and, you know, taking care of me and my brother and praying for me, my brother and my dad. And, you know, no, girl, I could never repay you. But it just, after every meal, thank you.
What a beautiful relationship. I've seen you all together. I know you together, and I just absolutely love it. There's so much about Regina. What's next on Regina's book? Now, I enjoyed watching you in film. For the first movie that you did, that was so exciting. What's on the horizon for you?
Oh, wow. Well, I pray more acting. I enjoyed it. It was amazing. I had a blast. I just finished a Christmas record, so I'm excited about that, on my own label, Tashi 3 Entertainment. So that was quite a journey. Being the boss can be overrated. It can be really overrated. But it was a wonderful experience. I worked with some really great people, and I got to record some of my favorite, you know, Christmas is my favorite time of the year. This is gonna be my first Christmas without both my brother and my dad. But I'm thankful. I have my mom, I still have my kids, my family, you know, that I have left, and we're gonna make the best out of it and what we have. I'm not gonna make a date to be sad. There are some people that say, well, Mother's Day is coming, so you know, my mom is gone, I'm not, you know, no. When Father's Day rolls around, I think about the greatness of who my dad was and still is to me. And I celebrate that. Yes, I have tears, but I'm not making a date to be depressed. I'm not going to do that. I think that does not honor them.
Yes.
And that's my mantra. I'm not talking about nobody. I'm talking about Gina. I will not make a date to be depressed. It doesn't mean that some days I don't have my days where I just say, oh, Pop, I just miss you so much.
And that's all right.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. But at the same token, I'm not going to live in a place of just being down, because I know that's not what he would have wanted.
Yeah. Regina, a lot of folks don't know you're an ordained minister.
Yes.
And that walk, that experience, how does that help you through all of these things that you've had to kind of manage and juggle?
That's the piece that has kept me from going crazy. I mean, literally, I need to preach that sermon. It's easier to go crazy. I'm with all seriousness, because then there are no expectations. You understand what I'm saying? There are no expectations. When you let yourself go and just say, I give way to sanity, it is a work of art to be sane. It is a work of art to say, I am going to operate in a logical and a decent and in order manner. That is a very difficult thing to do.
We see a lot of that today. When we came out of COVID, the challenges that people face.
Yes.
Yes.
Mental illness is real.
Health, all of these things.
It's real. And so, you know, and some things just cannot be helped. But there are other places where people have literally gotten tired of being strong, of being the one, the go-to.
What's your message? Don't give up.
Before I say don't give up, you gotta have self-care. You gotta have self-care. You gotta have somebody who invests in you. I'm sorry. That word in the Bible where it says, it is not good for man to be alone, words have never been more truer. And that man, I'm taking that to mean non-gender. Man, woman, boy, girl. It is not good for us to be alone, meaning that you can have some downtime by yourself, but it's not good for us to be alone. We need cohabitation. We need a touch. I need a hug. That's the one thing that I think in all of COVID, well, there are a lot of things that COVID took away, but that ability to hug, that ability to get a kiss, and not that eros love. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a kiss to say it's gonna be all right. A hug to say you're not in this by yourself. A strong handshake to say I'm with you.
So a nice reminder that I know we have all this technology, but for people to pick up the phone.
Yes.
And tell
Basics.
somebody, hello,
Basics.
how are you doing? Basic things, writing a note, sending a letter in the mail.
Stop allowing text messages to take over your life. You don't know what it means to somebody to reach out to them and just call them and just say, hey, how you doing? I know you're busy, I'm busy. But every now and again, just to get a call and say, hey, I don't want nothing. I don't want no money today. I don't want no money.
I just called to say hello.
I just called to say hi. How you doing?
Yeah.
How your people? You just, it does a world of good. That's why even in church, you know, even with my mask on, I still give hugs. Yeah, I'm gonna wash my hand. I'm gonna do all of that, and when it's necessary to have my 6 feet, I'm gonna do that. But I'm gonna hug somebody because that's gonna go a long way.
And I thank you for hugging me every time you see me. I want to say thank you. Now I know you're busy, and I'm so grateful for this time that we had together, and I'm so looking forward to the holidays and hearing this new CD. And hopefully seeing you in a holiday movie. I'm gonna be looking out for that. I'm gonna be looking for it. But in closing, I would love to hear, what is your message to those caregivers that are home or wherever they are listening to our conversation? What would you like to leave with them?
Well, we're coming up on holidays. It's not a great time of year for everybody. But caregivers, please understand me. You are not in this by yourself. We are 10 million strong. And if you're not a caregiver now, at some point you will be. To somebody, you will be a caregiver. It is so important that you understand the ability to take care of yourself. It is so important for you to understand the nature of incorporating village when taking care of somebody. It is important for you to understand that sometimes you have to say, tomorrow is another day. I can't do everything today. It is important for you to understand that sometimes you got to get your 8 hours. No matter what's going on around you, all hell breaking loose, you got to get your 8 hours. The Bible says that he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep, meaning that the divine one keeps watch over us at all times. Go ahead and get your 8 hours for those of us that are believers. But listen, to all of us, at some point you got to understand it's important to be hugged. It's important to be, for somebody to invest back into you, to somebody to pour back into you, to somebody to tell you that you're beautiful, that you're wonderful, and you're doing a good job. And can I just say that? I'm gonna look right in the camera and say, you're doing a good job, okay? Take it from me, Regina Belle, I said it. You are doing a good job. I know you feel like maybe you could have done more. I always feel like that. When I think about my brother and my dad, maybe it was one more visit I could have had, maybe, but no. You did everything you could possibly do.
My sister, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do. People don't know, not just the singing, but the work you do in community, and there's so much that you give back. Yeah. We're so grateful to have you and to have you be in our presence, not only today, but the people need to watch Regina Belle. There's so much more than the artist that's going on here in the community, within Atlanta, making a difference. I thank you.
Before we leave, I have to say one thing. I have a song on my holiday album. It's called My Colorful Christmas. And it's a song, it's not really a holiday song. It is a song that I dedicated to just this whole COVID atmosphere, what it's left us, and trying to pick up the pieces. The song is called I Had to Leave, and it's a song that me and my brother did before. It's the last song that we did together before he went down from his stroke. And the song is actually a thank you from the person that you're caring for. The song, those of us that have lost loved ones that we were caring for. And the song says, I had to leave. And it gets me a little choked up when I think about it, but it's their way of saying, you did everything. You couldn't have done anything more. You couldn't have visited me more. You couldn't have washed me more. You couldn't have bought me another pair of clean clothes. You did everything. And the song song kind of goes, if I could just a little piece of it.
Please do, please do.
I had to leave. I had to go. There is no way to get back yesterday because I had to leave. So the song is just saying, I had to go. It was my time. And regardless of what you think you could have done, how much you want to, it just wasn't possible. Everything that you did in my time here, every joke you told me, every moment that you spent with me, those are the nuggets I need you to carry with you for the rest of your life. For you, for your sister, for me, for my brother, my dad, for every one of us that have lost people. I need us to remember that we've done the best that we could do with what we had to work with and the time that we had.
Thank you. God bless you.
I love you, Debra.
I love you too. Thank you. Okay.